This podcast is part of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed may not reflect those of other podcasts or affiliates of this show or Gonna Geek. Check out other geeky podcasts at gonnageek.com. And get ready because geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1...
You have been granted clearance level 10. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents of equal or higher security clearance.
And now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Hayley.
And I'm Agent Lauren.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. one-shot number 12, Thor 2, The Dark World. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast based on the television show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the general Marvel Universe.
Because we just can't get enough of all the hot Chris's.
Word on that.
Just a reminder, you can catch all our contact information at legendsofshield.com. We also have a voicemail line, right, Lauren?
That's right. It's 844, the bus 1, 844-843-2871. And just reminding y'all, we also now have a Tumblr, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have not done a very good job of updating it this week, but it's been kind of a hectic week, so I'm giving myself a pass on that one.
And we've got a Facebook page, and we've got forums, so there's no excuse not to contact us.
Yes, come contact us, give us a ring, whatever. Also, we have an ongoing contest. It's for a Coulson S.H.I.E.L.D. badge. Yeah,
what y'all need to do is call us and give us your favorite SP is wrong moment.
Now, wait a minute.
Or the funniest SP is wrong moment, or the wrongest SP is wrong moment.
Just a general SP is wrong moment.
Entertain us.
Feel like I'm getting the raw end of the deal here still.
We are getting the raw end of the deal because we don't get the Coulson badge.
Yeah.
Well, gotta go pick his pocket yourself, I guess. Anyway, we've got an exciting week coming ahead of us. As you hear this podcast, you probably have seen a bunch of information come out about San Diego Comic-Con. And in the meantime, we do have some information to run down of what we've run into so far before San Diego Comic-Con. We will be talking about a lot of SDCC stuff next week as we talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. But in the meantime, Daredevil.
Yeah, Stephen S. DeKnight, who's going to be the executive producer and showrunner for the Daredevil Netflix series, said that it's going to have a dark, gritty feel like the 70s New York, but the sense I got is that it's still going to be set in modern day. And they also mentioned this, I'm sure it's been mentioned before, but they mentioned it in this article that the series is going to come out sometime next year. I would assume early in the summer.
70s feel, so it's like Starsky and Hutch in modern day. Wasn't there a movie about that recently?
I'm hoping for more of just like the general like exploitation movie feel.
That's what I figured. It's just going to be like, mob family running the town.
Yeah.
Didn't HBO have a series like that?
Boardwalk Empire, yeah. I love that show, but I got to admit it kind of lost the thread in recent seasons, so I'm kind of glad that it's ending. And by the way, the guy from Boardwalk Empire who played like the Irish mobster guy, enforcer, is Charlie Cox, who is now Daredevil.
You know what?
I bet 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon right there.
I bet Boardwalk Empire didn't have a costumed crime fighter.
Well, I mean, they got people in some really, really good suits. So it's like the closest we got.
That was cosplay in the 70s, right? Suits. Going from the zoot suit.
Not the 70s. It's the 20s.
20s. Oh. Yeah, but there was cosplay in the 20s. You had masks. You had the feather caps and stuff like that in the 20s. Come on, it was the roaring 20s. There was a lot. Fast cars, dirt roads, feathered women. Great economy until 29.
Almost made it all the way through the 20s.
Almost there. And you know what? We're in the midst of a big run right now. We've had 9 Marvel movies so far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've got at least 9 more on the docket. And starting with Guardians of the Galaxy on August 1st, which we're all excited to go to. At least I am.
Woohoo!
And
I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, so all 3 of us are. And then we've got Avengers coming up next year. We got a whole bunch of stuff on the docket, don't we?
Yep. Avengers is next year in May. Ant-Man in July. They confirmed Captain America in May of 2016. This week, Marvel released 5 or 6 new movie dates from the ones we already knew. No new confirmed dates for any movies yet. We're still guessing that Doctor Strange is going to be in that July 8th, 2016 slot. But they also have 3 movies in 2018. And they released 5 movie dates in the first release they had. And then they shoehorned another one in May 2018. And people are saying that one is probably going to be Avengers 3. But I would guess that the last one they scheduled would be Avengers 3, because that's how they slated the movies, is to just put out the whole next phase.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me guessing, though.
Right. And I also saw a speculated piece, I can't remember where it was, about Robert Downey Jr. and if he's going to do an Iron Man 4 or what his future is. And I guess it's all tied really to money. I guess Marvel Studios is really not psyched about pumping out another $50 million a movie for this guy. So Avengers 3 might possibly be the last Robert Downey Jr. movie.
Yeah. Also, I found an article saying Kevin Feige saying that what he wanted to do was have one continued franchise each year and then another new franchise each year. So we'd be getting a sequel and a new movie every year.
That would be great.
I would like that.
Yep. I listened to a lot of Kevin Feige this week because I did listen to the commentary on Thor 2, and the man definitely has a lot to say, and he's definitely got a lot of control over everything. So probably what he says is going to happen. Another thing that's probably going to happen, more than likely, since it was announced all over the place and TV Guide set out the original exclusive piece, is that Lucy Lawless is coming to season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. How cool is that?
I would do the Xena yell, but I know I'd just embarrass myself.
And, destroy everyone's ears.
That too. So yes, Lucy Lawless is coming to S.H.I.E.L.D. We should be very happy, and if you are not, then you are obviously a commie mutant traitor. So, she's also been on, of course, Battlestar Galactica, Spartacus, which I will be watching later tonight, even if it's censored. I mean, my God, they get away on showing a lot more than I thought on the sci-fi version. Really, all they can't do is say the F word, the C word, and show outright nipples and genitalia. That's they do pretty much everything else.
It's like Japanese porn.
Impressive.
Yeah, pretty much. But, and she's also on Parks and Rec, and she's pretty great there. She's got a really good range. And of course, since Stephen DeKnight is working on Daredevil, and he was also a producer on Spartacus, and Rob Tappert, her husband, was also a producer on Spartacus, and it's just this kind of big, of course, everybody works together. So I'm interested in seeing who else from this whole big network of people starts to work together. And of course, because of Spartacus, Jed and Marissa also know her through there.
Right. You know who else I know? They could get maybe Manu Bennett in all this. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that'd be...
What about him as the Punisher?
How can you break him loose from the DC universe on TV, though? That's...
Easily.
Yeah. Wait, are you caught up on Arrow yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, then I can't say.
Yeah, okay.
Just all the Spartacus characters in Marvel all the time. Just bring over
in
Dan
the exact same costume.
Yes. Just give them a little cape to go over it.
The DC universe broke my heart, and they said that the TV universe and the cinematic universe are not going to be connected at all. I'm like, how? Yeah, whatever.
Well, that's because their cinematic universe is going to tank, and they don't want to drag down the TV universe with it. Completely unbiased opinion.
And true. Very, very true. All right. So also we have some interesting news about our gal, Agent Carter, Hayley Atwell in Age of Ultron, don't we?
Yes, we do. Okay. We all know that Hayley Atwell is completely awesome.
Totally.
Yes. Peggy Carter was amazing. Peggy Carter is getting her own TV show. And apparently, according to WeGotThisCover.com, there's a quote from Hayley Atwell. Funnily enough, Atwell has a night on the talent director Joss Whedon to thank for her Age of Ultron role. We went out drinking one night and he was like, it would be great to write something for you. And I was like, yes, Joss, it would. It would be amazing. So we're going to get a cameo at some point. We'll see if it's a flashback or if it's old Peggy, just what happens. And yeah, I'm looking forward to her in just any capacity because old Peggy in Cap 2, seriously, that scene just breaks my heart and makes me cry every time. And then young Peggy is just kick-ass, and I love her lipstick, and she's like everything I want to be when I grow up. So,
like grow up, like you need an extra foot or so, right?
Like become an adult, which I'm not doing anytime
I was gonna say,
no. I'm pretty sure I'm actually older than her, but shut up.
Yeah. I had my first boss at work that was actually younger than me, and I was like, really? Okay. This is the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. Might as well just put up and shut up. Another person that really hasn't had a chance to shutting up right now is the Mandarin. And especially since the one shot that came along with the Thor 2 that we watched this week, this is interesting news. Red Skull and Mandarin in for future Marvel films.
Well, it's not Trevor Slattery in future Marvel films. It's Mandarin.
Right.
And Kevin Feige said that was always his intention, is to leave the true Mandarin available for future films. Mm-hmm. That the plan was always that Killian based the character that Trevor Slattery was playing off of a real person, the Mandarin, and that guy could come around at any time. And the All Hail the King short kind of showed that.
Mm-hmm. That there was actually a Mandarin around that wasn't pleased with Trevor Slattery at all, and that's why they went to go assassinate him. Yep. Or not assassinate him, but kidnap him.
Yeah. And then the Red Skull, we saw him die, but he's a comic book character. He didn't die that hard, so he could come back.
He just got sucked off into space. I mean, look how well that worked out for Loki.
Yeah, he could get better.
Anybody can get better. It's the comics. I like that.
Except for Sitwell, because he's dead.
We have confirmed reports.
And now we're going to get like cybernetic Sitwell coming into the next movie.
That I would believe.
Oh my God, Sitwell turns into MODOK.
Yeah. Poor Sitwell. If you're the actor...
We were rooting for you!
I know. If you're the actor that played him, and then all of a sudden... you were going along fine for a few movies, a few one-shots. You even had a bit part in the series up to date, and all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, you're Hydra. And oh, by the way, we're going to kill you in Winter Soldier. Gee, thanks.
Coulson's death had this grand purpose to it. It rallied everyone around. And Sitwell's just like the bad guy. And it's... Oh, man, I felt...
He's like a step above henchman number 3.
I still feel, honestly, really betrayed by that.
I know.
Like at a personal level.
Yeah, the moment Sitwell whispered in the senator's ear, "Hail Hydra," or vice versa, it just all went downhill for him.
Ugh.
And somebody else that's kind of small in the Marvel Universe... Ant-Man.
Oh, that just
what you did there.
Absolutely horrible comic panel.
Really?
Hank Pym.
Yeah.
Using his size changing for purposes with Janet.
Why not? Bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller.
Smaller.
It seemed like it would work for me. Yeah. Okay.
It was.
So that's whatever you were talking about for you.
Okay, so we've got a new Ant-Man poster, basically, is what we're trying to get to.
And it is not what I'm talking about. It is better than that post and then that
He is
panel.
changing sizes in the poster. And it does look like, based on his surroundings, that he might be going up to giant-sized as well.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
That could just be some perspective.
Yeah, because there's also like a giant ant in the foreground, so...
Right. So it's hard to tell exactly what's happening. It's just kind of stylized and cool looking.
I guess. I hate ants.
And you can see Red and Douglas.
Oh, I love ants, but like...
Oh, no. I pay for an exterminator.
See, no, when I was little, I watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and from there, I learned to love ants and fear scorpions. So...
Yeah, well...
I can trace my scorpion phobia back to that and having my dad throw one at me.
An ant?
No, a scorpion.
Oh, okay.
He thought I was making up having a phobia of them, so he threw one we found dead in our toaster oven at me.
In the toaster oven?
And then I got, it was in our toaster oven.
Nice.
So then I got yelled at for overreacting, for locking myself in the bathroom and panicking.
Gee, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Thanks for a lifetime of fear of little crawly creatures that can sting me and kill me. Yeah,
just scorpions.
Just scorpions, yeah. Well, ants, once you get one column of ants marching in your house and you just can't get rid of them no matter what, and you have to call in the big guns, and you start to hate them for the rest of your life. But aside from that, we have several...
Well, see, that's why you need Ant-Man to come talk to the ants and get them to move away.
No, that's why you need the ant whisperer, not the Ant-Man.
Well, see, no, that's the thing. The little helmet that he wears, so he can talk to ants.
And he pretty much controls them.
Yes.
It's not like he just asks them to do stuff. I mean, he
does in like Marvel Avengers. He and the ants are like partying and stuff. It's adorable. Marvel Adventures Avengers. It's an all ages title, and it is wonderful. Like, there's this one issue where they go into space and they do like Cree karaoke, and if you are dubbed not a good singer, then they drop you into a pit full of really loud cats. And apparently, Tony Stark is not good at karaoke.
I'm pretty sure one of the early Ant-Man stories I read, he ended up in like Cuba or something and couldn't talk to the ants because they didn't speak English.
So wait a minute. We're talking about a guy that gets bigger and smaller and has a helmet.
Well, originally he only got smaller, right?
Yeah, the getting bigger thing came later, and then he had all sorts of health problems because of the getting bigger.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. Bigger, smaller, helmet. Got it. All right.
Yep.
Moving on to Guardians of the
smaller,
Galaxy.
Big, smaller, domestic abuse.
SP no like domestic abuse. All right, moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy clips. We got 3 of them with apparently hours and hours of new material. This is fantastic. Basically, you get to see the movies with these clips, and there's no need to go see the movie.
Go see the movie.
Yeah, go see the movie. So the first couple, clip 1 and clip 2, are about a minute long each. One of them's about Star-Lord, and I don't remember what the other one was about. But then the last one is 5 minutes long, and it's like all the Guardians being intaked in the prison, and it's pretty cool. Oh, the other one was the plan. That's what it was.
The plan.
Star-Lord's plan.
Does he have many copies too?
He's got a plan,
no.
and they ask what percentage of a plan he has.
That's
he has 12% of a
12%.
plan.
All right. And of course...
Yes, unfortunately, there's only one Star-Lord to go around.
Only one Peter
We'll
Quinn.
just have to share.
Yeah.
But, there's plenty of bombs. Rocket can make them. They're all good there.
Gonna suck the fun out of everything.
So that's it for the news this week. And next time we come at you, we'll be talking plenty of Guardians of the Galaxy. So really just can't wait.
Woohoo!
Don't want to not diminish that any further than I have. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be awesome. Go see it. Go see it opening night. Go see it at midnight. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Because that's when we're going to go see it.
Yeah. Might fall asleep, but yeah. I'm old.
Because SP is old.
I'm old. Huh? All right. So we did watch. Thanks. We did watch Thor 2: The Dark World this week, and wow, one of the better ones. Thank you, Marvel, for making the movie. Really enjoyed it.
I liked it.
You liked the Chris?
It's good.
I did listen to the commentary. I had my doubts. I had my serious doubts, actually, after seeing the movie. But yes, that shirtless scene has no digital effects on it. That is Chris. Amazingly enough, unbelievable.
I know, right?
I can't believe that any human being can look like that.
I have a complaint. That was a pretty brief scene. I felt like
we need like more loving camera.
I think he could have cleaned his hands for a little bit longer. Maybe like run some water through his hair.
Yeah.
I think we should have seen a scene with the 2 main warriors getting ready for the party in their own rooms. A whole montage of Jamie Alexander and Thor getting ready in their separate rooms, shirtless.
5-minute montage, just alternating. Yeah, could go for that.
I think that would have worked just fine with me. Yeah.
That could have been the one shot that they included.
Oh my, that would be awesome.
And I can't believe that Thor did not bring Agent 13 with him back to Asgard too. I mean, that's just, there's so much wrong with that. I can't say.
I don't think he's met her.
Yeah. Maybe
he doesn't even know she exists.
Yeah, maybe Steve will introduce her in the next one.
I'm sure. I'm sure they know each other now because.
Did you just say I'm shirt? Or was I just thinking of Chris Hemsworth without a shirt?
You were just thinking with Chris Hemsworth without a shirt. Oh man, seeing him in full Thor garb, it's instantly he's Thor or whatever. But seeing some of his audition tapes, I can only see him as Captain Kirk's dad. I mean that is with the short hair and without the beard and everything. That's Kirk. That's not Thor. So I'm glad there's a distinction between the two. This movie was great. I mean, I thought about moving it up in my rankings from 5 to 4 to take over Iron Man 2, but I just like the suits that much more. So I got to give Iron Man 2 the nod, in my rankings anyway, over this. But it doesn't diminish the fact that this is a great movie. Really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the new Asgard, right? Because before there was a conscious effort to concentrate on the characters, not Asgard, the world. And in this, they gave us the world and the worlds, I might add, the 9 realms. And my goodness, it was fantastic.
Yep. Mm-hmm. In the first one, we really got like benevolent and wise Odin. And then this one, we got a little more of dickish Odin, which I appreciated.
I loved for a while. There was a Tumblr. I'm not sure if it's still updating, but it was like Ask Odin, and it was done in like comic form. And whenever it was like Odin's terrible parenting tips, and whenever somebody would ask Odin something that he wasn't comfortable with, he would go into a convenient Odin sleep.
My goodness. Anthony Hopkins, I just coincidentally was getting my hair cut today, and the barber had on the Oliver Stone movie, what was it, Nixon? In which he played Nixon. I can't remember the name of the movie. I think it was Nixon.
I think it's Nixon, yes.
And just to see Anthony Hopkins play those 2 roles in the same day, I'm like, okay, this guy was made to play both these roles. And yes, he can be very, very dickish. It's just part of
I was watching Red 2 last weekend, and I completely forgot he was in that. And then he shows up, and I'm like, oh my,
it's the Allfather.
I didn't.
Buy Odin's beard. Buy my beard. So that's where that comes from. By the way, y'all need to watch Avengers Assemble.
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen it.
It's fun.
Oh, no. Never mind. I've seen the other one.
You've seen all the Chris's. So shameless plug, I do another podcast on the Gonna Geek Network called Voices of Defiance about the television show Defiance. And Tony Kern plays Daytak Tar and he's one of the, I can't believe the quality of actor that they have on that show. But I did not know until I watched this movie this week that Tony Kern was King Bor, is Odin's dad in this. Did not know
he's
that.
In it for like
amazing.
3 seconds, but yes.
And just all the stuff that he's done, I took a look at his IMDb. I'm not very familiar with his work off the top of my head, but I know...
Oh, no, I've loved him since 13th Warrior.
Uh-huh. And Vincent Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, whatever you want to say, from Doctor Who.
According to QI, apparently it's Van Gogh.
Oh, yeah?
I was on a QI binge like a month ago.
Yeah.
So I was watching it on YouTube, and they had an episode where they were like, how do you pronounce this name? And everyone was saying that all these different names, and they had like an actual guy who's like a scholar in the audience, and it's like, actually it's Van Gogh. But you can't make it nearly as funny jokes with that.
Right. Well, in the Doctor Who universe, they call it Van Gogh, I believe, right?
Just that one, whatever, librarian guy, museum guy.
Right.
Bill Nighy.
I thought the Doctor called him that too. Or did he just call him Vincent? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't remember.
Anyway, Tony Kern is an amazing actor.
He's also the Invisible Man in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes. He's got like, I forget what it is, like 93.
And he's in Underworld Evolution.
He's in a lot of stuff. He's got like 93.
Isn't he in Timeline?
I think so.
I think he's the friend that gets his ear cut off.
But yeah, this guy's in just like freaking everything.
And he's good. He's amazing.
And I remember there was a rumor for a while that he was going to be in Game of Thrones. And as far as I know, he's not. But the guy who plays Tyr in this show, whose name I just suddenly blanked out on, it's Clive something. But he is the Blackfish on Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Well,
yes. And of course, the director, Alan Taylor, directed a whole bunch of episodes of seasons 1 and 2. And I don't think 3 of Game of Thrones, because I think they were working on this at the time.
Which they talked about during the commentary, and the fact that they filmed both in Iceland but in different locations. Because in Game of Thrones, they filmed in the snowy locations, but in Thor, they
filmed in all the volcanic locations.
Right. So it was stark differences between the two, but they did get to film in the same location. They thought Iceland was an amazing place to film, which it is. And it's amazing that a television show like Game of Thrones can pull off such cinematic greatness as they do. But, okay, so I was watching this as I have all previous 8 movies that we've watched for the S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra sort of reference. And quite frankly, this doesn't have anything but maybe a couple of references that they wouldn't pick up the phone. Jane Foster tried to call him. I think Darcy tried to call him, and they just wouldn't pick up. So I'm wondering, I'm asking you two ladies because I don't know. What is the timeline?
No, I thought it was, I thought Jane didn't want him there.
At first, but then she tried to call him. So my question is, what's the timeline? Is this happening at the same
We can
time?
check the official Marvel timeline. I don't think it's happening at the same time.
Because in the commentary, they said that this is supposed to happen about a year after the Avengers. And in Iron Man 3, yeah.
We know it's a few weeks or at least a few weeks, probably more like a few months before everything went down with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, because they had that little crossover in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they were cleaning up the mess.
Okay, so this is
Hold
before...
on, I'm looking at the timeline.
No, she's right. So this is before Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So why is S.H.I.E.L.D... The events that happen in England are straight up S.H.I.E.L.D.'s alley. They would be over this. So why are they not picking up the phone to talk to these guys? I don't understand why there is a disconnect there. I mean, I guess they just wrote it out for plot's sake, but it's not really explained very well.
I guess you could say it all happened so fast that S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't have time to get any boots on the ground while it was going down, so their guys didn't get there until after Thor had already beat up the aliens.
Don't they have a worldwide presence, though? They've got hideouts everywhere.
They're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
Still looking for
to
the
me.
timeline. I found the one that leads up to Avengers, but not...
Well,
Okay,
she's right.
here we
So we had this crossover in like November with S.H.I.E.L.D. It was like I forget what it was, episode 7, 8, something like that.
Yeah, it's like 8, 9, somewhere in there.
Right. And then, of course, it was months later with Captain America that occurred. And there was plenty of episodes in between. And we were talking about how poor the crossover was really in Thor 2, because they were just there picking up the pieces afterwards. And of course, with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, it was so much of a crossover that they actually led in and out of it with the movie. Like the last scene that you see of that last episode was actually Nick Fury being blown up in the Suburban. And that is one of the first things that we see in the movie. So actually, not first thing, but 15, 20 minutes in. Anyway, there just wasn't a strong S.H.I.E.L.D. presence. And there was a strong S.H.I.E.L.D. presence in the first Thor movie. And in Avengers, so you've got Jane Foster and Selvig who have strong relationships with the S.H.I.E.L.D. entity, and there's just no interplay there at all. So I'm just scratching my head over that. Maybe it'll be explained eventually, or maybe that they will
I'm
never
actually
explain
fine with it, because I was thinking about it when I watched it, because I was also looking for S.H.I.E.L.D. and I was like, I don't think I remember any in this movie. And when I watched it, I was like, yeah, there's not really. But with this one and with Iron Man 3, they were the first two phase 2 movies. And it was like everybody just needed to take the time to like decompress and breathe after Avengers. So you're going to get the kind of more personal stories, the ones that aren't as interconnected. And I think the reason that Cap 2 didn't do that is because Cap is so connected to S.H.I.E.L.D. and to all of that through Peggy and through Howard and through just all the events that led up to his creation and what brought him back. And the fact that the Hydra and Bucky thing, like all of that just kind of served as the perfect confluence right there. But in terms of what function S.H.I.E.L.D. could perform in Thor 2, most of it kind of takes place on just a complete other realm. So of course they're not going to have a presence there. And the parts that do take place on Earth, I mean, yeah, you would expect they would have a presence there, but at the same time, I can see how storytelling wise, it would just kind of muddle the flow of the story. You want it to focus on these particular characters, Thor, Loki, and Jane. So I can see why they just didn't write them in.
Well, you got two things from S.H.I.E.L.D. going on, right? Actually, three that in my mind pertain to this. First of all is protection of the planet Earth against foreign invaders. They just realize that there's a whole space, continuum out there. Yes, Thor is out there, but there are bad guys out there and we're trying to protect the planet. So you would think anything that would connect Earth to other things like the portals or whatever, they would be all over that. So that's one. Two, they're trying to develop weapons to protect the Earth against it. We already know that. And the whole Insight program is about that. The whole Avengers movie and the phase 2 stuff is about that. So you would think that they would try to grab as much information as they can in order to weaponize it to protect the Earth. And then 3, as we see later with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which was not tipped off at this point in time, granted, but it was the whole Hydra play. So there's just definitely no interaction with Hydra at all in this. There's no chance for it or anything. And again, I think Loki playing with Hydra would be pretty cool. I don't think Hydra would want to play with the Dark Elves, though.
Yeah, again, they're a completely unknown element that they can't really have any guarantee of controlling.
Right. So, but to continue on with the continuity of the universe, I thought Jane slapping Loki was awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
This is for New York. Whack! And it wasn't a slap, actually. It was more like a hook.
It was she punched him. She slapped Thor a couple times.
And
yeah, because she likes Thor.
if you see the gag reel, you see exactly how many times that she does slap Chris.
The gag reel for this movie is amazing.
It's great. So they
did the freaking Dragon Ball Z pose.
They did.
Those freaking dorks.
Now, Lauren, did you listen to the commentary about the whole slap thing?
Yes.
So what was your take on it? The two slaps.
I remember reading, actually, some interviews where they were talking about that before the movie came out, or right around the time the movie came out, where they were talking about how they were like, oh, no, just really hit me. Go ahead. And then she actually went and hit. And they're like, oh, ow.
Yeah. And that was Chris Hemsworth, which happened first. And then they went to go film the scene with Loki. And Loki talked to Chris about it before it happened. And Chris was saying, yeah, we really had to entice her to actually hit him because they were trying to not do the contact, but it wasn't playing off right. So they ended up having to have contact. So by the time they got to Loki, Natalie was all over this.
Yeah.
She wanted to take Tom down. So did any of you two play Xbox or Portal or anything like that?
Yes. The final fight, yes, that did remind me of, now you're thinking with portals. Yeah. And it was amazing. I'm a sucker for teleportation being used in like fight scenes and stuff like that. I loved it in X2. I loved it in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yes.
I love it in comics, and I loved it here.
Yeah, and it's great actually. Once you actually play it like on Portal or Portal 2 on the Xbox, and the whole bottle thing where it was going up and down the stairwells, you actually utilize that to gain more momentum and get your speed faster. And you have to, in Portal anyway, you have to shoot where the next portal is as you go through. And then get enough momentum going to do whatever you need to do, like propel you across the room or whatever. Yeah, it's great
unless you have poor depth perception like me and you end up firing the next portal in the wrong direction.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, oh no, now I'm not where I meant to be.
And you got to start all over.
And I got to start all over.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. So, Hayley, what did you like about this movie?
Chris. Loki. Actually, I loved Loki in this movie so much.
Right?
Just everything about him. And Frigga.
Yes.
For what little we got of her.
Renee Russo is awesome. I've always liked her ever since I can't remember where I first really saw her, but I first noticed her in Lethal Weapon and just kind of fell in love with her ever since then. And she's great. So, question. At the very end, when the guard comes back informing Odin that Loki had died, and Odin says Loki when the guard doesn't mention what the body was or whatever. At that point in time, that Loki could have meant any number of things. One of which is he recognized that the guard was Loki. Another is that the body was Loki, whatever. What do you think that he meant when Odin said Loki?
The first time I saw it, I thought that he meant that, oh, Loki's dead, oh no. The second time I saw it, and on subsequent viewings, the way that he reacts, you definitely can read it as, oh, I recognize you, especially given the little smile the guard gives there at the end.
Right, when his eyes come up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hayley, what do you think?
I don't know. I was trying to figure it out this time when I watched it, and I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's open for interpretation there. Even Marvel hasn't said exactly what it is, but you could take it one of many, many ways. And they talk about it during the commentary, but I mean, once you've seen the movie and you know that Loki has pulled off the fact that he is not dead and then he comes back to rule, or at least sit on the seat, on the whatever's left of the throne. Yeah, whatever's left of it. It gives everything a whole new thing. And I even watched his death, right? So he puts the sword or spear or whatever through
Curse.
Yeah, thank you. They're the curse. And he gets stabbed himself through the front when the curse brings him in for the hug, whatever, to kill him, whatever. I'm just trying
Death hug.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Most metal band ever.
What was the imaginary part there? Was it that the blade didn't go all the way through him? Was it that Loki didn't come in for the hug? I mean, how did Loki survive that?
He's a trickster.
Yeah, but how did he trick it? Unveil the magic for me.
I've seen this movie like 5 times and I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, it would have to be, obviously, the way that he appeared when he died was an illusion.
Right.
And Thor, okay, the way that I figure it is anytime you see him make a double of himself, nobody can touch it. Like, you see that with Frigga's magic, you see that with his doubles. It's like nobody can touch it. So if somebody is holding them, if somebody's holding that object, that person, whatever, then it's probably real. So my guess is it's the appearance that's changed. So the sword might not have stabbed him there. It might have gone through like his coat or something and he made it look like that. It might not have stabbed as deep as it looked. It might not have stabbed him at all, but he took that opportunity to make it look like it had. But that was definitely Loki's body that Thor was holding.
Right.
Yes. I was just wondering about when the curse was holding it. So, okay. We don't really know. I don't know. Hayley, what do you think? Any thoughts there?
Not really.
Yeah. Same questions I have, probably. So, one thing that I loved in this movie was Loki playing as Captain America.
Yeah.
Yes.
That whole scene where he keeps like changing them.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Oh,
That was great. And if you watch the deleted scenes, you see Tom Hiddleston actually playing Captain America. He's got the dress on and everything. It's funny as heck. And he said, I mean, he's trying to say it as Captain America would say it. And it's not coming off. It's coming off as Loki. It's not coming off as Captain America.
I love the whole explanation of it. It's like, so Tom Hiddleston is doing Loki, doing an impression of Captain America, so that Chris Evans has to come in and do an impression of Loki doing an impression of Captain America.
It's funny. Also, again, you watching or listening to the commentary, you know what a patchwork piece these movies really are, because you have actors that are actually playing to nothing or other actors or whatever. Like the whole end of the scene, end of the movie, when Anthony Hopkins is up on the throne and Thor is down at the bottom and they're having that whole conversation. They're actually not talking to each other. They're actually in completely different places. Chris Hemsworth was in Hong Kong, and I think Anthony Hopkins was somewhere in England, I believe. So these actors are nowhere near each other.
Seamless.
Yeah, I know. And
it's amazing.
And the whole thing with Chris Evans with the Loki play, that must have been digitally added in later, because there was no way that he was around. If they had to do Loki in a Captain America suit, it just tells me that Chris Evans wasn't around. So it's really interesting how they pull these movies off. And it seems like it's one big happy family as they're filming for 9 months or whatever. And it's not. You have people on the set for 10 days out of the whole thing. So interesting. Also, Lauren, let me get your take on this. Hayley, did you watch the commentary? Did you have the Blu-ray available?
I have it. I didn't get a chance to watch it, though.
Lauren, let me ask you this. The commentary, even though you had 4 people on there, it turned into a Kevin Feige and Tom Hiddleston fest to me.
Yes.
And
occasionally Alan Taylor would pop in, but
yeah, and I'm just wondering what kind
of... It's like these two guys had just like the most to say. They're just like the two guys that wouldn't shut up and stop like fanboying over each other.
But Tom was saying stuff about the movie production and whatever. Did he have a production or directional role in the movie, or was he just...
I don't think so. I think he's just like very into this stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Like seriously, the guy was like waxing poetic about all this stuff. Like, on the one hand, it's like, you know, I get done watching it with the commentary and I'm like, I feel like I should go write a story. Because you know how sometimes you're around people and you just get really into, like, if you're a writer and you're hanging around other writers and you start talking about writing and you're like, yeah, I got to go do something right now. And like, if you hear people that are like that passionate about whatever they're doing, you get like all inspired and fired up. It's like that same kind of enthusiasm rubbing off.
Mm-hmm. I'll hand it to Tom. I mean, he's great in the universe. He plays Loki phenomenally. He did try out to be Thor. We talked about this before.
That tape is on, I think, the DVD too.
Yeah, his actual audition with the hammer and stuff.
So weird.
He's built a lot. They diminish him in his costume. I can't believe how.
Well, he lost weight for it too.
Yeah, okay. But he could have played a Thor. I'm glad he didn't, because he plays Loki so great. But the man's got talent. And thank you for being part of our entertainment for the last, I don't know, whatever it is, 5 years or so. So thank you there. Okay. So I don't have as much background in the comic lore as you two ladies. So let me ask this question. Dark elves, right?
They're blue, damn it. I am never getting over that.
Well, do you think they have a little TARDIS blue on them because of Chris Eccleston? All right. So what exactly is their motivation to turn the universe into anti-life? I mean, wouldn't that kill them? I didn't understand.
Because they're bad guys.
Yeah, they're bad guys. They needed to give them a bad guy motivation. That's not really their motivation in the comics.
Okay, what's their motivation in the comics then?
Be evil, fight the other, like everyone else, rule the world, that sort of thing. Typical bad guy stuff. Actually, my favorite portrayal of the Dark Elves is still in the Incredible Hercules crossover, The Mighty Thorcules, where Thor and Hercules switch identities. And Hercules as Thor ends up seducing the Dark Elf Queen Alphys. And he learns the ways of how to do a proper elvish tickler.
Oh.
And then at Hercules' eulogy, all of the women and guys that he slept with come and start telling stories of his prowess. And Alphys shows up and starts telling the story of the elvish tickler. And Fandrel's in the background like, damn! Seriously, The Incredible Hercules is amazing. Go read it. But yeah, the Dark Elves are really not that much like they were in the movie, like at all.
So I'm watching this movie, and my son Sandrock's actually there or whatever, and we're watching it, and Zachary Levi comes on as Fandrel, and it was amazing because he said, "Oh, wasn't he in the first one too?" And I said, "No." He's like, "Oh, I couldn't tell," and you really can't, except for like when they're doing the escape on the boats, and Zachary Levi as Fandrel goes to the second boat to clear the way for Loki to use his secret passageway and to do his little ship Rainbow Bridge, whatever. And he says something at that point in time, and it's Chuck Bartowski coming through. It's Zachary Levi. Other than that, he is you can interchange the two actors. It's amazing.
I wish the Warriors 3 had been in this movie a little more. And I mean, all of them. I'm still very bitter that they were like, oh, for no apparent reason, Hogan is now from Vanaheim, and this is why we're not going to have Tadanobu Asano in the movie for like the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was interesting. He was in there at the very beginning scene as they're clearing out. What world is that?
Vanaheim.
It's Vanaheim. It seemed very Stargate-ish to me. Stargate SG-1.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. So there's only so much you can do, I guess, but it took me out of the Thor universe a little bit, but not too much because they're both dealing with space and humanoids across space and that sort of thing. So I guess
speaking of the whole Nine Realms thing, something that I loved that I saw when I first saw the movie, and then I loved that they pointed out in the commentary, when you're having that convergence and you see a little bit of all the Nine Realms, you see Hell
with one L.
Yes, with one L, because it's ruled by Hela, who is in mythology and in the comics Loki's daughter. And I was so hoping that when they announced the title of this, The Dark World, that it was going to be about Hell. And there's been especially in the whole Loki bit of Journey into Mysteries, just some absolutely fabulous stuff with Hel and Hela and Hela's handmaiden Leia. And it's so good. And I was so hoping that we'd get maybe a little taste of that. But hey, maybe that's for the next one.
For Thor 3.
Yes.
I think it is. I mean, they basically tipped their hand in the commentary saying that, yeah, we put this in to try to get people interested in it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hela is such an interesting character in the comics. She's got a weird hat, but,
just
most
like
of the
dad.
bad guys, most of the bad guys in Marvel Comics, if you noticed, have really weird hats. I mean, look at Galactus.
was an interesting scene in some of the extra features. Thor in his first movie headdress and Loki's headdress, and Thor never goes back to wearing that headdress at all with the two wings coming out of his head. Okay, Hayley, question for you.
Duh.
Favorite Darcy moment?
Oh, so many. Just everything. I kind of wish she had gone to Asgard too.
I
Oh,
know,
I
right.
think that would have been fabulous.
That would have been awesome.
But
Especially when Jane started to meet the parents. Oh, this is the king, by the way. Oh, this is my mother. That would have been awesome with Darcy.
when she's trying to get stuff from people to throw down the portal, that's pretty good.
Give me your shoe. And then
I
later,
think we're getting arrested.
why are there so many shoes here? And she's cunning and gets our boy Eric out of wherever he is, the loony bin, I guess.
Yep. You know, having a god in your brain will drive you a little crazy for a little while.
Yeah, and that was another tip of the hat to what was going on in Avengers. The
I
whole.
still remember, I think that the Stonehenge bit was like some of the first stuff that was leaked.
It was the first
You're like,
scene
what
that
are
they
they doing?
shot.
Yeah, what are they doing shooting at Stonehenge? I still remember all that. And I still remember the pictures from them shooting at that university. And just like, there's this one still I can still picture, and it's Chris Hemsworth as Thor jumping up with swinging the hammer and making this really goofy face because he's in like mid stunt.
Yeah, apparently he does about 99% of his own stuff too. They did a lot more wire work with Thor this time than before. I mean, the guy's not only built, I guess he's the best athlete out of all the Avengers and stuff. So, like, well, okay, typical surfer dude. They need to film him surfing, as Thor. That'd be it.
Have him surfing on a shark.
In a tornado.
Have him make friends with a whale. He'd be so much better at it than Aquaman.
Yeah, I was just going to say, then you have the whole...
And then he runs into Namor.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right? And he and Namor could be buddies. And then we can have them running around shirtless at the beach.
Yeah. This is a
Everybody
good
wins.
reason to have him have his shirt off for like half the movie.
Yeah, everybody
Because
wins.
he's swimming. Yeah, perfect.
It's like Marvel Beach Party.
And then get Hayley Atwell and Jamie Alexander out there.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a
we could
topless beach, though.
Get
all
all the
those, like,
Chris's.
all those like 50s beach movies that were really popular. We have like the Marvel version of that. So they're all just like sitting around a campfire in their bathing suits, like singing. And that's just the whole movie.
That'd be
and
awesome.
we're all good.
That'd be, yeah. So Joss Whedon musical. You got
Yes.
the beach. Yeah. Uh-huh. Got to get Emily Van Camp in there, Agent 13. I think we're all good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, there's just so much about this, and I'm not versed as well as I should be in the whole Thor lore. What am I missing?
Thor lore.
The floor.
No, that's Floki.
Who is currently staring at me from across the room,
There you go.
still wearing my knitting.
I can't say Floki and not think of the History Channel Vikings. Floki is
That's
such
exactly why.
a what a great character. Yeah.
He is. He's wonderful.
He should be in the Marvel universe.
Can you keep a secret? No.
Yeah. And of course he does. So
I know,
great.
right?
I'm not going to spoil anybody. Great series.
Vikings. Yeah, Vikings is amazing. Everyone should watch it.
And
Yeah, I just mainlined that. like, a
Lagertha
couple
is
months ago.
another character I want to be when I grow up.
oh, Haley, are you
I
totally
want
up to
her
date?
to be in some stuff. Yeah, I caught up.
know, right?
It's amazing. It gets it better. I mean, it starts out pretty good, but it just gets
Then it
better
gets
and
so
better.
much better.
It's amazing by the time you get to the end. I mean, I almost wanted to give up on it in between seasons, and I'm glad I didn't. It just is amazing. And Lagertha, amazing too. I kept thinking,
Yes.
she should be in these Marvel Universe movies.
Yes.
She could have been Wonder Woman even.
Yep.
But
She could still be Carol Danvers.
Oh my God.
amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
All right. So what am I missing in the Thor universe that was interesting here before we get
Read
to
it
the
all.
cutscene? Okay.
Loki does what he wants.
Yeah, it'll be
You did notice that he didn't take Thor's hammer at the end, and it's because he couldn't.
Uh-huh.
that's right. He couldn't. No, you can keep it. It's like, well, what is he going to do? That would actually prove that he wasn't Odin, because Odin
Right?
Yeah.
Odin can carry the hammer.
Yep.
for all those that forgot from the first movie. All right. So cutscene, the whole collector, excuse me.
Yes.
Tell me about the collector, because in my Guardians of the Galaxy research, I have, other than the Prelude trade paperback, I have not run into the collector at all. He seems to be a major character.
I haven't gotten to him yet.
I actually don't know that much about him.
Apparently he's going to be a major character, and he's after the 6 stones. The Ether is one, the Tesseract is another. They're supposed to be going after a third, I guess. I don't know. What happens when you get all these 6 things together?
I think it's the Infinity Gauntlet, right?
Yeah, you get the Infinity Gauntlet, which did have a cameo in Thor 1. Just like a blink and you miss it moment.
Oh,
was it in the vault?
Yeah, it was in the vault.
Okay, what does the gauntlet do?
I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. I just know it's a big deal.
I have to. It's been a while since Okay, according to the Marvel database.
Okay.
When used in combination, their already impressive powers make the wearer able to do anything he or she wants. Like literally anything.
Nice.
Basically, you have control of God mode.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not just bigger,
and
smaller.
There's the time gem, the space gem, the soul gem, the reality gem, the power gem, and the mind gem.
It reminds me, I think my favorite Darcy moment in the movie was how space is good. Okay. Anyway, back to the gauntlet. So all these things have a particular thing that they control, and you put them all together and you end up in God mode.
Yes.
All right. And that's what the collector wants to be the god, I'm assuming. Anyway, we'll find out. Less than a week away. By the time you hear this, it'll probably be a couple of days away. By the way, I just want to, before we end, I want to say I'm sorry. Ran into some real life issues, and that's why the cast from last week is so late and why this one popped out when it did. We did record on time. I just wasn't able to actually produce them and get them out on time. So my bad. If you want to yell at somebody, yell at me, not these 2 lovely ladies who are awesome and putting up with me during this time of tragedy. Or whatever it is. Not tragedy, but a lot going on. So, as we end up, do you guys have anything that you want to say about Thor or the general Marvel Cinematic Universe as we now know it?
Hot Chris's.
Lots of Chris's.
Our number is now up to 3. Wait, unless you count Chris Eccleston.
You have to.
We could
count him, and that would be 4.
Even though we didn't really see him.
Yeah, I know, because he was under like whole load of makeup.
When has that guy not played kind of a dickish character?
Well, the character that he's playing on The Leftovers is kind of a decent guy.
All right. Just wondering, because even the Doctor was kind of a...
The character that he played in 28 Days Later gave me nightmares.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. I've only seen that movie once because the whole movie will give me nightmares.
I love that movie, but yeah, his whole deal, like that whole bit, I had nightmares about that. And the zombies, I'm fine with. The blood, the gore, I'm fine with. The whole bit with the soldiers in the castle, and yeah, that I had nightmares about.
I'm a sucker for that trope. Like The Last Ship, it's kind of a terrible TV series, but I'm so interested in it. It's like the whole world is dying or dead or whatever, and they've got the cure to this disease, and they're running around in a destroyer trying to save the Earth and stuff like that, or the humans on the Earth. It's like so cool, like Planet of the Apes. It's so cool. I mean, like the decimation of society. So it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I'm just a sucker for it, which, Revolutions, don't watch it, but I was a sucker for it. Anyway, you guys got anything else to say?
Guardians of the Galaxy soon.
I know, I'm so excited about that movie.
I think this weekend I'm going to finally go buy my Rocket and Groot Pop Funko figures just to annoy my husband.
Yeah, I think I've done all the research I'm going to do before it. And thank you very much, Lauren, for the recommendations. That was awesome. The Annihilation Conquest, it was an excellent
Yeah, I actually
primer.
picked up the first arc of the Brian Michael Bendis run on Guardians of the Galaxy on Comixology.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Comixology or EPUBs or however you can digest this stuff is probably about the only place that you're going to get it cheaply nowadays, because I've been...
Comixology keeps having sales too. So
I keep on going to stores and I can't find anything. It's just not available. It's been picked over pretty clean. So yeah, electronic copies are probably your best bet. And there's a lot of great stuff out there. I did pick up the Prelude one. I talked about it last time. It is interesting. especially the classic stuff that they show you. It's interesting, some of the stuff that's in there, and I won't give it away because I think it'll spoil some of what's going to be in the movie. I don't think it would be in the prelude if it didn't have anything to do with the movie, but I've been fooled before on that. Like Star Trek Into Darkness, I read the comics leading up to that, and Harry Mudd's wasn't in there, but his daughter was. And I thought because of the change of the universe that Harry Mudd, she's still called Harry Mudd. I thought Harry Mudd was going to be in the second J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, and she wasn't. So I was fooled there. But
So it looks like right now Comixology is selling a bundle of the Abnett run on Guardians of the Galaxy, which went from 2008 to 2010. 25 issues for $40.
So this won't come out for another week or so, but I want to say yesterday was Batman's 75th anniversary, so happy birthday,
Happy
Winged
birthday, Batman.
Crusader. Yes. All right. Well, we will be coming at you with a Guardians of the Galaxy podcast. It'll maybe coming out just a couple of days after this comes out, so get ready. We will be watching the movie, and we will be coming back home and podcasting and getting it out before Legends podcast.
Suck it, Wing.
On your left. All right. Until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Hayley.
I'm Lauren.
And go Guardians go. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.